Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're talking about comic book investments, specifically a YouTube channel called Comic Book Investments. So if you're not familiar with this channel, it is run by a gentleman named Dave. And Dave is a comic book dealer. I want to get that out there first and foremost. Dave makes a lot of videos about price trends, what books are going up, what books are going down. So if you're in that interested market of what books are doing what, then Dave from Comic Book Investments is your guy. Well, recently Dave just made a video mentioning your boy Sticky Goose. Now, Dave's first mistake is to talk to white trash like me and just even engage with me. So Dave, yikes, next time just don't do that, because what's going to happen is I'm going to make a video. So Dave wants to jump on the bandwagon of my now 250,000 viewed video about nobody wants to buy CGC graded comic books anymore. And our friend Dave puts his face on a thumbnail and uses exactly my same template. And he says, nobody wants graded comic books anymore. CGC is dead. Classic clickbait. Which he doesn't believe this, spoiler, and it's actually one of his most successful videos he's had in months. The Sticky Goose effect. I'm sorry, Dave, but you used it. Before we talk about what I think, whether I think Dave's opinions are right or wrong, let me just paint the picture on Dave a little bit. So Dave, seemingly a very wealthy guy, has an incredible comic book collection, which you'll see in this video clip that I've pulled. But Dave makes questionable decisions. Specifically, he's talking about his lawsuits that are occurring, that are ongoing, in which his father is being sued by another grading company. See, Dave is kind of embedded in this graded comic world. Specifically, his father is one of the top graders at, I believe, CBCS, and is now going to another company, I think a new startup company. I don't know. I don't really care. He's basically in with graded comics. He has an invested interest, not only because he is a dealer who sells high-end collectibles, but his father is in the business of grading. This guy thought it was a great idea to talk about an ongoing lawsuit. I've wanted to make a video about this for months because it was just so ridiculous that somebody who seems to be as successful as Dave is talking about a lawsuit on his YouTube channel for like 2,000 or 3,000 views. In this clip, we're gonna show this. And then we're going to react to it. But I want you to keep those things in mind as we're listening to Dave here.
Comic books are not selling. CGC is dead. No one wants them. I've gotten many comments like this over the years about how CGC destroyed the comic book hobby. No one wants graded comic books. Raw is the way to go. And they're just really hard to sell. I mean, look at some of these comments I've gotten. And this is just recent comments in the last few months. CGC destroyed the hobby. Buy comics to read. CGC is ruining the value. Raw or nothing. Stop submitting books. I see a lot of people prefer Raw over CGC. But then this video came across by this person named Sticky Goose talking about how he had a friend who had these CGC books and they weren't selling at all, and they sat and he ended up having to crack them out and selling raw is the only way to get rid of them. No one wants CGC books or graded comic books anymore. So let me just officially address Sticky Goose, his friends, and all
my
the people
friends
in the comment that you are completely wrong. In the Sticky Goose video, he goes on to say how his friend had all these graded books and he tried to sell them and they would not move. No one wants CGC graded books anymore.
They don't.
No one wants them. And he had to crack them out and sell them. And then he even said he sold them at a loss. He lost money on them. Well, first of all, you probably bought them at too high, at a peak. And so when you cracked out and sold them, that's probably why it went down. It wasn't because CGC is bad. That's not why. It's because the market in general has dropped. And the books that he had were key books. They sell every single day. Like, do you think something like this, a 9.8 Spider-Man 252, do you think this is going to go for more in a CGC case or Raw? What do you think? You think someone's going to trust?
Should it?
Someone's grading, they're buying online or buying Facebook Marketplace or Instagram. They're like, oh yeah, I believe. Yep. I believe that you're saying it's a 9.8 for sure. And they're going to sell it to them, and they're going to pay the exact same price as if it was in a CGC case. Do you think someone's going to pay more, like 6 figures for this book right here, raw? No, they're not going to, because they don't know. What if there's restoration? What if there's a coupon missing? What if there's all that kind of stuff I talked about before? And also, what kind of grades? The difference between a 9.0 and an 8.5 in a book like this is massive. I think the biggest factor, and when people say, raw is the way to go, is financial demographics.
Here we go.
There's different camps of people, and people that are in the camp of they buy books for like $50, $5,
Poor
maybe
people.
$100, in that range, like basically under $100.
Yeah, have-nots.
CGC is not really a factor in that space, because if you're picking up a book for $5, just getting it cased alone and shipping and insurance, all that kind of stuff, you're going to spend almost $50 alone on that. So why would you case a $5 book? It makes sense not to, because you're not really adding any value. If you try to sell that, it's not like you're going to sell it for $100 once it's cased. No, it's still going to be like $20 or $30, a little bit more than when it was raw, but you have to pay $50 just to get a grade. So that's like the biggest thing, is the people that are in this different financial demographic, the people don't spend, not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a comic book,
like you,
or tens of thousands or even thousands of dollars on a comic book. People that are like sub $100, maybe they have a couple books in their collection there's like $300, $400, but for the most part their collection consists of books that are probably sub $50, sub $100. Those are the people that seem to say, raw is the way to go.
Poor people are saying this.
In that regard, yeah, they are kind of right.
Okay, so can we just kind of summarize what he just did there? Basically, he said that if a certain book, or people that can only afford certain books, are getting their books graded, it is foolish, as opposed to someone like him who is grading his ASM 252 newsstand that got a 9.8. He got lucky. He got chosen that day. But if it had got a 9.6, is it worth it? Is that a poor people book then? If it's not a 9.8, you see the hierarchy. Do you see the? You can see it coming through, and he tries to disguise it in a nice way, and then he pulls out, the big wiener book, the Hulk 1 and a 9.0. Let's just talk about this for a minute. If this individual can afford that, so if Granddaddy Dave from Comic Book Investments from back in whenever, the 60s, didn't get that book, that means that this individual or his father bought that book. So that means that person has spent potentially 6 figures on a book to sell or flip or whatever they're doing with it. This person is taking the time to make comic book YouTube videos for 2,000 or 3,000 views, including talking about his lawsuits, his ongoing lawsuits, as well as he's apparently a musician. He's trying to promote his band. You guys think I'm narcissistic? Dude, this is a whole nother level of narcissism. So it's like, this person doesn't need the money, apparently, with showing a Hulk 1. But then he's getting on here talking about financial things. The whole purpose of his whole YouTube channel is seemingly to promote his brand, or like bring attention to him so you can go to his website and buy books, because that is the only reason. It's either his narcissism that he wants to be on camera talking about comic books, or he is trying to promote the sale of his books. Those are the only reasons that he could possibly be doing this. Because if he is wealthy enough and foolish enough to invest in something so stupid as a comic book that is worth over $100,000, why should we be listening to anything you're saying? You could start a business. You could make huge investments with that kind of money, like real freaking investments in the stock market, in Bitcoin, in crypto. Start a freaking business. The amount of things you could do with that kind of money is insane. That he needs to waste his time making YouTube videos, doing whatever he's doing, something so petty as talking about an ongoing lawsuit is just mind-boggling to me. Now, as far as what he's saying about graded comics, I mean, I kind of agree with a lot of his points. A lot of the reason why people get stuff graded is to make sure they got what they got. That's what I did. But for him to sit there and kind of talk about the reasoning and kind of insinuate it's a rich man's game versus a poor man's game kind of thing of why you should get them graded and why the people that are angry about raw versus graded, it's based on financial demographics. That shit is hilarious. You are a dealer, Dave. You are a flipper. You are the flipper people. You're the flipper people. The flipper people. I just made a new name, not the sticker people, but the flipper people. And there's all kinds of you on YouTube. Most of you are flipper people. So when you get on here and you're giving us our sales data and you're giving us our information, what are your motivations? Why are you doing this, Dave? You're trying to sell stuff. You're trying to sell your graded comics. And you got a little white trash scum like me coming on and saying, hey, maybe graded comics aren't so great. It's not so good for business, is it, Dave? So let's just take a step back and see motivations. Why is anybody doing anything? I've made it perfectly clear why I'm doing this. I'm trying to entertain you. I'm trying to get clicks. I'm having fun. This is why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If at any point in time you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this video, subscribe for more. Take care.